What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another hunting boot camp. Today I'm going to be discussing my decoy strategy. So if you've looked at any duck hunting websites or duck hunting forums or any books or anything about duck hunting and decoy spreads, you've probably come across ones like the U spread or the J hook, just basic decoy spreads. I want you to basically forget about that for now. Not saying I don't ever use that, but I base my decoy strategy on two words, and that is be different. That refers to how I lay my spread out, and that refers to what I include in my spread. So the basic duck hunter, they probably, I guess when you think the basic duck hunter, you think mallards, they're going to have a spread of mallards and maybe a few goose decoys. And that's about it. Not saying that's bad, not saying that doesn't kill birds, but that's not what I do. So what I do is I kind of look at it like an equation, and I go realism versus numbers. So you can have a small spread that looks super realistic and still kill the same amount of birds as having a large spread of cheaper decoys or even more expensive decoys if you have the money or you think you need that. They're about the same, I would say, in result wise. Birds see more ducks or more decoys, they're gonna cup in pretty quicker. Same with realistic. They say, oh hey, this looks like a nice little realistic spot where other ducks would be, and look how real these decoys look, so we'll cup in and we'll come in right to those too. I've done both, had success with both, but being as I do a lot of public land hunting, I like to do the realism approach. I like to, get the most realistic decoys I can, get the most realistic spread I can, and take as few as decoys. I'll take a small spread, maybe about 2 dozen, maybe 2.5. It depends on what kind of decoys I'm taking in, but that's about the maximum I'll take when I'm kayak hunting, early season, stuff like that. So going back to the part where I said, be different, not just about your spread layout, but also decoy type. I'll give you some examples here. So I'll run these, just green-winged teal decoys. I run these year-round because we have green-winged teal year-round. I know western Nebraska, who would have thought, but heck, it was the second to last weekend of the season this year after the freeze-up, and we were shooting teal. We had a teal killing day one day. I don't know where they came from. I don't know why they stayed here, but we've seen green-winged teal out here the last couple of years. So I'll keep running those. I got these for Christmas this past year, and I've had really good success with these divers. So there's some big lakes around out here, and big lakes attract divers. And these white bodies, they stick out, and it's just one more thing that catches the bird's attention when they're flying. So everyone's running. They got, your typical mallard decoy. They're just running their mallards. I'll run these. I'll mix in. I got a bunch of other here too. So I got pintail, widgeon, gadwall. I got a whole bunch of different species that I run, and I'll just mix it in. So I never run just a straight mallard flock. I got 2 dozen mallard decoys here. I'll run all 2 dozen of those. In addition, I'll throw in some of these other ducks, because you might see a flock of just pure mallards, but usually there's 1 or 2 other species mixed in. And especially out here where these big lakes that we hunt, that seems like all the ducks just raft up together. You got mallards with divers, you got buffleheads mixed in, and all kinds of birds. So that's kind of what we do out here. That's our strategy. And even in the sandhills, you go up in the sandhills, there's divers that nest. There's redheads that nest there. There's teal and widgeon. There's a bunch of different ducks that nest up there. So you hunt those early season, October, early November, before that big migration comes through, before the big freeze comes through. Diversity is key. So I don't even break out the mallard decoys until about that big freeze in mid-November. I'm just gonna, they call this the puppet pack. So I just run these, run my teal, and I run these coot decoys. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, coots? You want to shoot coots? No, I don't want to shoot coots. But out here in western Nebraska, coots are everywhere. And you don't see a raft of ducks without coots. So I got a half dozen of these oversized coot decoys because they stick out. I mean, they're pretty black. I need to wash these up, but they're really black. They're good contrast to the white of the divers. They stay around. They stay out here year round. Like, we'll see these in January. They're still out here. So I run these year round. Never leave to go duck hunting on any lake or even some rivers. I'll take these out. I guess some rivers I don't, but most of the time I'll take these coot decoys out, and they are killer on the birds. I don't know if anyone else runs them. I haven't heard of them. Actually, I was loading them up. I took them out for teal season too, and this old guy comes up to me and he's like, "Coot decoys? Why do you want to shoot coots?" I'm like, No, I'm not shooting coots. They're confidence decoys. And they really do work because, like I said, out here, you hardly ever see ducks without coots. They're all together. They're all rafted up. They're in big old groups. So that's kind of, from a decoy standpoint, how I approach it. I'll mix in some goose decoys too, even if goose season isn't open, because there are, nesting pairs, resident geese out here. They're out here year round. You get more as the migration comes through, but there are geese out here year round. They nest out here, and they just stay around year round. I'll mix in some floating can decoys too with the ducks and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people do that. But yeah, I like diversity in my decoy spread. That's I have no problem running a puddler pack of widgeon, gadwall, pintails with half dozen coots and half dozen teal. And that's been fatal. I mean, if you watched any of our Sandhills videos, I don't believe we had any mallard decoys. Maybe Devin had some out there, but I know all the decoys I brought were only these, the coots, the puddler pack, the teal, and a couple goose decoys. That's all I run for the first month of the season. Once the mallards get coming in, then we'll load up. We'll bring all these mallard decoys out, and we'll get after it. Now, I also mentioned realism, and I'm talking about that in two aspects. So I'm talking about it in decoys, and I'm talking about it in the way the spread is laid out. So I'll address the decoys first, and then I'll go to talk about the decoy spread. So as you can see, I got these decoys here. These are Avian X. These are, in my opinion, top of the line. These are like the best duck decoy you're going to get. And I don't want to talk them up too much because I'm going to do a review on them here in a couple weeks for another one of these. But these are my favorite duck decoy. These are my go-to. Like, they're just, I can talk about how great they are, but I'll save that for a couple weeks from now. Anyways, so Avians, and these are green headgear. These are Avery green headgear decoys. They are also highly detailed decoys. They require a little bit more care when you're handling. The paint chips a little more, but they are still very detailed and they look ultra realistic. I'm not gonna badmouth any other decoy brands out there, but these are the two that I love to run. These are the two I really like for duck decoys. Goose decoys is a whole nother deal, and maybe I'm gonna talk about that some other time. But Avian X green headgear, super realistic, and that's what I want for my small decoy spreads. Now on the spread layout, how I do it, it's gonna depend. It depends on a couple things. The main one is scouting. So you go out and you see what the ducks do. You go out the day before. You go out every day for a week. You just go out and you watch ducks. You watch how they land, where they're landing, what they want to do, and what they do on the water is the main thing I look at. So there's a lot of cattails on these places we hunt, and you'll just see them. They're just kind of in little pockets. They're not in really like a J hook, or they're not in a U. Those are actually kind of unnatural. The J hook you'll see sometimes when there's a good wind, but for the most part, I steer clear of that too. But we do little pockets, so you'll like 3 ducks here, 2 ducks there, a couple coots, and you just it's kind of random how we do it, and it just all depends on the location. So I can't really draw you up a spread without showing you, without having an area in mind. And I'll try to address it better this season. I'll kind of explain our strategy, our decoy strategy, while we're putting them up, or maybe after we're taking them down. I don't know, but we'll try to get that worked in the upcoming season. But that's kind of my strategy. So, everyone's running their decoys, their mallard goose decoys. Everyone's running their U hooks or their J hooks or whatever else the books are talking about. And I just try to mix it up. That's basically what I do. And then in addition to the realism aspect is kind of know a little bit about duck biology. So, late December, early January, the ducks are paired up. They're, so you try to get like a hen, maybe 2 drakes falling, or you just have a couple. You try to pair them up, like mallard wise. That's what I like to do. You run them in pairs, fairly close to each other, so it looks like breeding pair. They're already paired up, and then maybe throw one off by herself or something, or a couple drakes, like a bachelor group. It's really interesting to just read how like the duck mating season and the duck life cycle works all together, and reading into that allows you more insight into how you can be a more effective duck hunter. And that, late season, that's what I like to do. I like to, run those breeding pairs. So in summation, if there's anything I can reiterate from this video, it's be different. Like, don't be afraid to switch it up. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone with strategy wise, decoy spread wise. Just don't follow the cookie cutter method of duck hunting. Don't be afraid to go out and buy different species of ducks or coots, or paint up your own, or just even go out and buy a blue heron decoy, or I don't know, swan decoys even. Just don't be afraid to mix it up. You'll see the results, and the other hunters might laugh at you when you first go out, but they'll be the ones who will be wishing they had those decoys when you come back. That's all I have for you guys today. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, or any other topic ideas you want to hear me address in the future. I will be linking these decoys. I will be linking them in the description down below so you guys can check those out. And we will catch you next time. See ya.